Now we're going to talk about adding and subtracting decimals. So the rule for adding and subtracting, this is what we usually say, line up the decimals. Now we still have to follow the rules of positive and negative numbers. So the rules that we have for integers still apply. Even though they're not integer numbers, the rules still apply. So in example 2 here, it says add or subtract. So part A, I have negative 4.8 minus 11.69. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it negative 4.8. I'm going to change my subtracting to adding the opposite. So it's going to look like that, negative 4.8 plus negative 11.69. Now, if you go back to what we learned with integers, think about a negative and a negative, it's just going to be negative, right? It's going to be bigger, a smaller negative number. So we want to combine 4.8 and 11.69. A lot of times what I do is I think about their absolute values. So I go over to the side and I think, well, what I really want to know is what's 11.69 plus 4.8, and I line up the decimals. Now, notice I put a 0 in there. You don't have to do this. You don't have to write the 0. It's helpful though sometimes when you're trying to line things up. So neatness counts when you're trying to line up the decimals, and you're lining up those place values. Now, I don't want to forget my answer is going to be negative. So because I have a negative 4.8 plus another negative, it's going to be negative. All right. So now I go over here on the left, and I'm going to go ahead and do the actual calculation. So 9 and 0, 16 is 14, carry the 1, 1, 2, 6, and 1. And the decimal comes just right straight down. So that's what we say. We just bring the decimal right into its spot. So all the place values are staying put. And so my final answer is going to be negative 16.49. And that's how you would do that one. Okay, the next one is also a subtraction problem. So they have 9.58. Oops. I have to write the numbers right. So 9.58, and then I'm going to make it plus the opposite, which winds up looking like that. So 9.58 plus a negative 10. Well, what do I really want to know then? I have one positive and I have one negative. I have more negative than I do positive. You could think of this problem in the same with the last one. You could think of it in terms of money. I have $9.58, but I'm taking out $10. So I took out more than I had. My answer is going to be negative. I could put a little negative sign here to remind me of that. But I really need to know, well, what's the difference? What's the difference between 9.58 and 10? So I want to take the 10 and I want to subtract 9.58. Now when we do this, where's the decimal on the 10? It's after that 0. And then I want to put zeros in here. This time I really kind of have to do that because I'm going to be borrowing. And so, and some of you probably just already figured out the answer in your head. We work with money and numbers sometimes, so maybe that's an easier way for you to do it. But say you got some tricky numbers or something, this would be the way you could write it out. All right, so I'm trying to find this difference then. Let's go back to the 10 and borrow, make it a 9. Well, yeah, make it a 9. Make that a 10, cross that out, make that a 9. So remember back in the old days when we would borrow, and that's how we subtracted. Sometimes students are tempted to just go the other way and not do the borrowing, but that doesn't work, so don't do that. So 8 from 10 is 2, 5 from 9 is 4. My decimal will still come straight down. It'll follow the place values. And then 9 minus 9 is 0. I'm going to write the 0 though because of what we talked about on the last video. We want to put, if there's nothing in the ones column, we're going to put a 0 there so that it's not confusing to read the number. 0.42, and our answer is negative. So negative 0.42. Screen is jumping.